Welcome students for online classes. Today we'll continue with the chapter 1, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence. Okay, so in this video we'll study about the relationship of the population. So the topics explained are the demographic profile and the occupational structure. First let's go through the demographic profile. So the meaning of demographic profile is the study of population based on the factors such as age, race and gender. So what happens, for example, when the people come to take the information regarding to the census. So what happened at that particular point of time, the people, the officers, when they come, they ask you regarding your age, regarding your work, regarding the employment opportunities, whether you are employed or unemployed, whether to what extent you have learned, to what classes you have learned, maybe it comes to graduation or post graduation, or when it comes to employment and unemployment, all the necessary information or the data which is taken by the officers, these are called as a statistical information taken by them. So even though we study about the all the statistical information, that is the collection of data done by the census officers, so at the same point of time we study about the rate of people, to what extent the percentage of rate happening in our current economy, where the first one is the low literacy rate. Now what does literacy mean? The meaning of literacy is the person who can read and write. Okay, how was the literacy rate on the eve of independence? The literacy rate was only 16% on the year of independence. Only 16% of the people in our current India were able to read and write. And when it started increasing, when education came into place and when the people started to know how to read and write, the current percentage of literacy rate is 74.04 percentage, where on the eve of independence there was only 7% female who knew to read and right, which was very a drastic change at this current point of time. And when we compare to this current economy, what happens, the Kerala is known as the very much literate area, or the very much literate state when it compares to all other states in our current India. Okay, the second one is low standard of living. First one, the standard of living in the sense, it is compared to all the basic necessities, that is food, clothing, shelter, the luxury items and all the necessary items which a particular individual needs. So this is known as standard of living. At the time of independence, people used to spend 80% to 90% of their income on the basic necessities, that is food, clothing, shelter. Why were they spending 80%, 80 to 90 percentage of their savings? Just because at that particular point of time there was no much income. So because of that, what happened, the major percentage was sold to this, maybe to purchase the food grains, or maybe for the clothing, or maybe for the maintenance of their house. But what happened, this spending was not adequate for the satisfaction of their needs. Why? Because they didn't have satisfaction, they couldn't renovate their house, because they couldn't purchase good food to consume, or they didn't have good clothes to wear. So because of this, the satisfaction level was very low. And only in some parts of India were severely affected by the famines, and million people were dead. Why was this particular thing happened? In the year 1969, what happened in Bengal, there was a drought. So majorly million of the peoples were dead because of the hunger. So this was the major thing, where the people couldn't even afford for a time of food at the time of independence. So that is in the year 1947. So because of this, what happened in the demographic profile, the standard of living on the eve of independence was very low. And the next thing is the high birth rate and high death rate. Now what does birth rate mean? The number of children born per thousand in a year, and death rate, number of people dying per thousand in a year. So what happened, the birth rate and death rate was very high. Why? There was no proper hospitals in our current economy, there was no proper information given for the increase in the rapid population, that is increase in the birth rate. So what was the rate? Nearly 48 to 40 per thousand people were, maybe when it came to birth or when it came to death, the rate was increasing. The main thing was the death rate was increasing because of lack of sanitation, because of lack of hospitality facility. And what happened for the birth rate? Because of the lack of information given to the people in the economy, what happened, even the birth rate was also increasing, which was a very much burden for our current India, that is on the eve of independence. And the next is, as told earlier, the poor health facilities. What kind of health facilities? Maybe when it came to the sanitation, when it came to hospitals, what happened when, even when it came to doctors, nurses, what happened, there were, as there was no proper education given, there was no proper health facilities given to the people. So because of this, what happened, the death rate started increasing. The only one main thing which was there in our current economy was Ayurveda medicine, which was very much difficult for even the old gurus to make it, because even the people need to know which kind of roots to be used for which kind of disease. So because of this, what happened, the health facilities was very much lagging behind. And even because of the increase in the industries also, when the industries used to pollute the land, pollute the water, what happened, the people used to drink the same water. Because of this was this also, what happened, there was a very much problem happened in our current economy, that is on the eve of independence. And there was a widespread of airborne diseases, where maybe when it came to leprosy, cholera, what happened, even because of water, even malaria was also increasing. Because of this, what happened, there was no proper health facilities, or there was no proper medical facilities given to the people. So under demographic profile, they on the eve of independence, the health facility was very much poor. And the next is the high infant mortality rate. Now let's know what is infants. Infants are the children who are in between the 1 year age. Okay, so what happened to the infants, that is the children who attaining one age, that is one age, what happened for that kind of people, the high infant mortality rate, in the sense the people in the sense the children used to die before attaining their first birthday. So what happened? Nearly 218 per thousand infants used to die per year, which was very much difficult for the people in the economy to digest for that particular thing. Because what happened, because of lagging of medical facilities, because of lagging behind of all the industries which gives out the polluted things, where the maternity, where the mother used to consume all the unnecessary things, in the sense, currently we are having good facilities, currently we are giving good food, currently we are giving good medical treatment for the mother at that particular point of time, that is on the eve of independence. We, in the sense, our current economy didn't had nothing, the economy didn't had no proper facilities given to the mother. So because of this, what happened, the infants used to die early. And lack of adequate public health facilities, the occurrence of frequent natural calamities also had a very high poverty level for the current people on the eve of independence. Okay, now the next thing is the low life expectancy. First, the life expectancy means the people living the earlier on the eve of independence, the average age was only 32. But the currently, that is in the year 2019 2020, the average life expectancy, that is the people will live to 68 years. That is the minimum level where the majority can live, and even people, because of their health issues, they even die early. But the because of the World Health Organization, the age, a particular age currently is given 68 years, but earlier it was only 32 years. So what happened, because of the lack of all the facilities given to the people on the eve of independence, there was low life expectancy. Okay, now let's see how the demographic transition happened. Now what does this demographic transition, in the sense, how the technology came into place, how the death rates and birth rates were controlled. First, what happened, before 1921, there was high birth rate and high death rate, which we learned earlier, where it was a stagnant economy. There was no changes in the economy happening. There was no technology, there was no medical facilities, there was no health facilities. Everything was lagging behind. And in the year 1921, what happened? In the year 1921, there was high birth rate and low death rate. How there was low death rate? This particular year 1921 is called as the year of Great Divide. Why it is called as Great Divide? Before, because in that particular year there was a upgradation of technology, that is sanitation and health. What happened in the year 1921? Our current India adopted technology, our current India adopted new medicines, our current India adopted new medications for the people. Maybe when it came to cancer, maybe when it came to all the diseases, what happened? There was good medications for the people of our India on the eve of independence, that is in the year 1921. So what happened? This particular year is known as Great Divide because there was high birth rate, but when compared to death rate, it was very low. And later, after adoption of new technology, after knowing good knowledge, after getting good information, what happened? After 1921, even the birth rate also decreased. There was low birth rate and low death rate because of the good medical facility, because of the good sanitation. There was low death rate, and of the good information or good campaigns given by the people around on the eve of independence, what happened? There was low birth rate. So this is a demographic transition happened before 1921, on the year 1921, and after the year 1921. So it is very much important for you to remember the year 1921. What happened in the year? That year is called as the year of Great Divide. Why? Because there was an upgradation of technology when it came to the health and sanitation. Okay, now let's see the occupational structure. Which kind of occupation were there in our current economy? First, let's know what is occupation. That is the distribution of workforce of a country amongst different sectors of an economy, termed as occupational structure. Okay, now how many sectors are there in economy? That is the main thing. There are three sectors in the economy, namely primary, secondary and tertiary. Which are those? Primary sector is known as agricultural sector, secondary sector is known as industrial sector, and tertiary sector is known as the service sector, where you give service to maybe education, hospitals, transportation, communication, all the necessary things. So first let's see regarding the agriculture. What happened on the eve of independence regarding the occupational structure? As agriculture is called as the backbone of our country, the major source of income was adopted or extracted from which area? It was extracted from the agricultural sector, and 85% of the people were dependent on agriculture. What was the main reason? The main reason was there was lack of efficiency, and there was lack of education given to the people. So what happened? Majority of the people were indulged in agricultural sector. And the next is the industrial sector. Only 9% of the people were indulged in industrial sector. Why? Because when British people were ruling in our current India, British, what did they do? They had done the deindustrialization. Where what does deindustrialization mean? The removing of industries. So there was no proper industries. So there was no proper efficient people to go on to the industries and operate the machinery work. So only 9% of the people were indulged in industrial sector. And the next is the leftover service sector, is the 6% of people which engage in service sector. Maybe when it came to transportation, maybe when it came to the communication, and when it came to the hospitality things, the service sector was of only of 6%, because of there was no proper balance in our current economy. It was known as, our economy on the eve of independence was known as unbalanced growth. Why it was called so? Because there was no equal growth between the industry and agriculture, because agriculture was on its peak and industry was nowhere near agriculture when it came to the percentage, because agriculture was of 85% people dependent on agriculture, and only 9% of the people were dependent on industry. So there was unbalanced growth in our current economy. And even the regional variations, Now, what does regional variations mean? Maybe when it came to Madikeri, there are only increase in the coffee plantation, but when it goes to other area, maybe when it goes to Kerala, there is other cultivation. So what happens, there was no proper balance that this particular area will cultivate this and that particular area will cultivate that. So because of this, what happened, only some places or only some areas started developing and the other areas was left undeveloped. So this is the unbalanced growth when it came to the agricultural and industrial sector. So the assignment topic for today is explain the demographic profile of India during the colonial period, and next one, state the features of India's pre-independence occupational structure. Thank you, students.